Now, Lloyds Banking Group has announced it will cut about 1,600 jobs across its branch network as part of an ongoing shift towards online banking. And this is something we talked about earlier in the show. In Bakewell, it was NatWest that shut its last branch in the Peak District. Citizens of Bakewell very upset about this, particularly the market traders, the elderly people there, of course, are simply unable to use their local bank branch anymore. And now it seems Lloyds are going nationwide with a similar plan. And I'm joined now to discuss this by our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan. Liam, further evidence of the death of the high street banking branch.
Indeed, this is one of the stories of our time, really, isn't it, Martin? Banks shutting down in towns and indeed cities across the country, high streets being hollowed out. A lot of us, small businesses, particularly older people, finding it difficult to get access to banking services, basic banking services that banks, by the way, are legally compelled to provide, given their banking licences by law, as we have to travel further and further to visit a physical branch. You were just talking there about NatWest. It's iconic that the bank in Bakewell is being closed down. And part on cue, if you like, Lloyds have weighed in, maybe under the cover of NatWest. Maybe they could share the day of banking bad pain with their rival. Lloyds are now saying, they've announced just an hour or so ago, that they are losing 1,600 jobs, 1,600 jobs from their branch network as a result of bank closures. You know, just 10 years ago, Martin, we had around 14,000 local bank and building society branches across the UK. We now have little more than 8,000. That's a 40% drop in just 10 years. And I suspect there's a long way to go as we move away from using cash. Of course, we had that GBNews Don't Kill Cash campaign. A petition signed by over 250,000 of our viewers and listeners, a petition that we delivered to Downing Street. And Lloyds are saying that even though they're laying off 1,600 people as a result of bank branch closures, they're creating 800 more jobs because of internet banking. But, you know, those jobs are likely to be for younger people. They're likely to be more technical jobs. They're less likely to be in local communities. They're less likely to be the kind of part-time jobs in banking that so many people find useful, buying the little extras for their family and keeping their head above water. This is a sad day, I would say, not just with news from NatWest, but now, under the cover of NatWest, perhaps, from Lloyds as well.
OK, Liam, this is the kick in the teeth, particularly for elderly and the most vulnerable customers.
It is indeed. You know, for a lot of older people, going to their bank branch, going to do a little bit of shopping, talking to somebody on the checkout, that's the highlight of their day. But now the bank branch is closed and they go to the local supermarket and they're just met with a machine that goes beep and tells them that there's some kind of foreign object in the bagging area. I don't know about you, Martin. I like to think of myself as pretty tech savvy, but every time I go to the supermarket these days, I seem to have a row with one of those, you know, those things that aren't checkout people that we used to have. Crikey. So now the supermarket is charging us our time to do their checking out so they can make more profits. It seems to be the way of the world, doesn't it? I'm sounding curmudgeonly, but I'm really not being curmudgeonly here, because for a lot of people, again, particularly older people, but not just older people, they just want to put, you know, a coin in a parking meter so they can park. They don't want to download endless apps. They don't want all this technology. A lot of people are still concerned about internet banking, the security risks, and so on. When is this huge trend of our time, the move away from customer service, the move towards ever more reliance on tech and ordinary punters having to get their head around all these tech issues, when is that going to stop? When is that going to touch bottom? When are we going to rediscover good old-fashioned customer service, not just for the well-heeled, not just for the 1%, not just for the wealthy, but for ordinary, hard-working men and women across the UK?
OK, Liam Halligan, I totally agree with everything you're saying there.